Alright, what is up YouTube? It's K right here. I'm back with another good video for today. I wanted to talk about a good fight for all my fellow Puerto Rican boxing fans. Mr. Emmanuel Rodriguez will be fighting the one and only great up-and-coming fighter by the name of Mr. Gary Antonio Russell. This is gonna be a flame fight. Let's talk about it. This is going to be a very difficult fight. This will be on the Guillermo Regendio, Juan Rael Casimero, right? John Rael Casimero. Very good fighter. He's a Filipino, the WBO, or no, I think Guillermo Regendio, yeah, Regendio, he has the WBO. No, Casimero, he has the WBO. I'm sorry, but Guillermo Rigondeaux will be fighting John Rael Casimero for the WBO World Bantamweight Championship. I'm almost positive that he has the WBO. Let me just... I'm sorry, because I sometimes don't really understand that. Because I know Casimero, John Rael... Yeah, Rael, BoxRec, I'm sorry. Yeah, let me just make sure who has the, championship. Yeah, alright, so John Rael, he has the WBO World Championship. He'll be facing Guillermo Rigondeaux to defend his title once again. Damn, dude, Rigondeaux, he's 40 years old and he's a southpaw. Dude, I fucking love Rigondeaux. But Mr. Rigondeaux will be re-challenging for his Bantamweight Championship. As far as I know, I guess he had the title and then I guess it got vacated or maybe stripped for that matter. Because yeah, it doesn't make any damn sense. Like how did he get the title? Oh, I guess it probably was vacated because he beat Duke Mika for the title, but wait, I don't get that because how would so he won the belt in 2020. Oh, and then maybe 2020. Hold on. Let's see. Oh, he probably won the belt. Got it. Yeah, so it probably got vacated or stripped for that manner. Yeah, that would make a lot more sense. But yeah, I guess Rael Casimero has the belt now, so now it's just like, Guillermo Rigondeaux, he's trying to come after that belt. So yeah, these guys, they're gonna square up and it's gonna be a pretty good fight. This is in Naoya Inoue's division at 118 for the bantamweight division. For those of you that don't know, Mr. Nordine Obuwali got knocked out by Mr. Super, legend, soon to become Hall of Famer, Nonito Donaire. He now has a WBC title, and Naoya Inoue, as far as I know, I believe he has a WBA and the IBF. So, yeah, this is pretty interesting. This is pretty much for all the marbles, if you really think about it, whoever wins this fight, because, we always know that once these guys, go at it and they get, whatever victory that goes their way, it's going to be a pretty interesting road to undisputed, because I really do believe, Rigondeaux, he has a really good chance of knocking this guy out, Casimero. But I think this is going to be a pretty difficult fight. But for those of you that don't know, the undercard out of this whole bout itself, we have some really good fights here. I don't understand why they have 3 fights. I think Showtime really needs to stop doing that. But for those of you that don't know, we have Mr. Damian Vasquez. I don't know who the hell this guy is. I think I saw him last time he fought, but I could be wrong. He's a good fighter as far as what I know. He's from, I want to say he trains out of the Mayweather stable. I'm not too sure, but he's a really good fighter. His only biggest losses was coming, at the hands of Brandon Figueroa and Juan Carlos Payano. But ever since then, I guess he's gotten some really good victories over Francisco, Lapiesco, and then Alejandro Moreno. He KO'd him in 5 rounds. Ivan Morelos, that was a good decision. So yeah, I mean, he's going up against a really tough opponent in Rashid Warren. For those of you that don't know, Rashid Warren, he's a really good fighter in my honest opinion. But He's fought some really good names. He's fought Sharon Carter, Gilberto Mendoza, and he's fought some really good names. You know, he beat Juan Carlos Payano. Yeah, that's a good victory. So, I mean, that'll be a decent first fight coming out. I think I'm probably thinking about like another guy too, because if I'm not mistaken, there's another guy that's in the bantamweight division that I think is a really good fighter. Oh, he probably might be at the super bantamweight division. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's Rais Alim. Yeah, Rais Alim. That's the guy that I'm thinking about. But super bantamweight division is just on fire because I can't wait for Stefan Fulton facing Brandon Figueroa on 9/11. That'll be a good fight to watch. Um, and then whoever is going to win out of that will definitely face MJ for undisputed. So I can't wait for that shit because because like we already know, what's gonna happen. I think honestly, if whoever wins out of this fight between Brandon and Stephen Fulton, I think what's gonna happen is that whoever wins that fight is going to go for undisputed, and then whoever becomes undisputed will probably move up to go up to super featherweight or probably featherweight. Like honestly, like I like to see Brandon and Stefan see each other again at like featherweight or super featherweight because I think that would be really good for their careers. But then again, it's gonna be interesting to see like what's gonna happen at the bantamweight and super bantamweight divisions because they're not that far away. They can easily see each other somewhere down the road. And I think whoever is gonna become undisputed at bantamweight, that's gonna determine a lot of questions to be answered. But yeah, I'm just really excited for all these fights that are coming up because at least we do see some really good fighters on the come up, like this kid, Mr. Ashton Silva. Yeah, he's a good fighter. I actually like watching him. He's very fresh coming into the game, 17 years old, every fight all by knockout. Very good kid. Watch out for him. I actually like watching him fight. His nickname is H2O. Very very talented, up and coming professional fighter. But let's get back on to the actual fight that I want to cover. For all the Puerto Rican fans, watching, our one and only fighter, or one of our decorated fighters, Mr. Emmanuel Rodriguez, will be going up against Mr. Gary Antonio Russell for the interim WBA World Bantamweight title. I find this really interesting because I thought Emmanuel Rodriguez was going to fight Raymar Gaballo because I thought Raymar Gaballo was going to, get that fight made, but I guess Gaballo, he wanted to duck out of that smoke. And for those of you that don't know, Emmanuel Rodriguez, he got robbed really badly against Raymar Gaballo. Just, go take a look at that fight. I'm sure on BoxRec it'll tell you that Gaballo, he got dropped in that fight. No, it's not going to tell you that. But basically, if you watch this fight, the Raymar Gaballo fight, Emmanuel was beating the living crap out of him. He was outboxing him. And for some weird reason, he still lost. So it made absolutely no sense. The judging was very corrupt and very evil that night. But, I give Manny all the credibility in the world because he did everything in his power to try to win. And unfortunately, the judges did not want to see that victory be handed to him. So it's very disrespectful and it's very evil to all the greatness that was put into that fight done by Manny. And, Manny, obviously wanted to run that shit back. And, I thought, Gaballo was going to be, a man of his word to try to give that man like a rematch. Or no, it was of the WBA, it was the WBC that was going to order the rematch, and then sooner than later, I guess that the fight got called off anyway because, Gaballo, he didn't want to give that man like a rematch to begin with anyway. So, yeah, fuck Gaballo. He's a piece of shit. So, On to the next one, we have Mr. Gary Antonio Russell. This is a very difficult opponent. Gary Antonio Russell is a dog. He is the son of, Gary Russell Sr., and he is brothers with the reigning and defending world champion Gary Russell Jr. And, he's also brothers with Gary Antoine Russell, and I believe Batman and like whoever else that's a part of their family. I don't ever count out Gary Russell's family. Gary Antonio Russell is a killer. This man has been stopping people. He is a beast. He does not let things fly by. He's there to kill you, and he's there to give you those hands. See, now, like, depending on how this fight will go down, I think Gary Russell could possibly stop Emmanuel Rodriguez. But it doesn't stop Emmanuel Rodriguez to come out of his way to stop Gary, because Emmanuel Rodriguez, he has a high knockout rate. He's at 57.14%, and Gary's at, like, what, 65 something percent? Yeah, like 66%. So this is a very difficult fight. I don't know how this is going to, go down. But if I were to really see this fight go down, I would have Antonio Russell stopping Emmanuel Rodriguez. Before any of you Puerto Ricans try to come up here and say, oh man, you just hating on Puerto Ricans, you're not a true Puerto Rican boxing fan, you don't support our people. No, I'm just clearly stating that styles make fights, and I don't think Manny has ever faced a guy like Gary, which I would have liked Manny to get his get back with Raymar Gaballo, which I don't think Gaballo's looking to face this guy. Yep, like right here, he's looking to fight back in August, but yet this kid, he don't want to have any balls to fight Manny. But either way, fuck him, because he knows damn well that he didn't win that fight. But either way, like Manny, Manny is a terrific fighter. I don't think Manny's going to back down against Gary. I think he's going to give Gary all the hands in the world to push him back. My only concern is just Gary's defense and how he's going to get into the inside and give Manny a lot of problems, with that jab. Because I think the problem with Manny is that he has a tendency to stay, in the pocket when he tries to get those big shots landed. And I don't think he should be doing that with Gary, because Gary, he's a tough inside fighter, and he could do everything on the outside. So he's like your perfect definition of an all-around boxer puncher. There's a reason why he fights, the way he fights, because he's such a, rough, rugged fighter. And, credit to his family. His family is, like, really good at what they do, and Gary Russell, he don't play around, Gary Russell, he be training his brothers at the highest, level. And, there's a reason why, they are who they are. But as far as what we see in height and reach, Gary Russell has a 66 arm reach, and he's 5'6", and I believe Emmanuel, he is, I want to say 5'6" and a 66.5 arm reach. So not that much of a advantage. I think Gary Russell, he's going to find any disadvantage that he could abuse on Manny. But if he knows what he's doing, and he knows how to put people down and make them, work hard, to try to, get any shots off of him. He obviously doesn't let people try to hit him that much. He is, defensively sound when he is in pressure. But whenever Manny has these lapses on defense that makes him, that makes him susceptible to getting clipped in a fight. I think that's like the biggest problem that Manny tends to put himself in, because he doesn't have too much of a, urgency to actually make those quick adjustments whenever he does get hit. But I mean, I think when we saw it from the Naoya Inoue fight, that's when Manny didn't have the need to actually make those quick adjustments when he got hurt. And Naoya Inoue took advantage of that. But I think it's going to be interesting to see what Manny is going to do to a guy like, yeah, to a guy like Gary Antonio Russell, because Gary Antonio Russell is going to come to fight. He's going to give Manny some big, heavy shots. And I think Manny, if he performs like the way he did against Naoya Inoue, he gets stopped by Gary Russell. But if he performs like the way he did against Raymar Gaballo, I could see Manny defeating Gary, if that's a possibility, because, you know, this is not an easy fight. Like, if Manny's looking to knock out Gary, that's a bad idea. But if Manny's looking to be defensively gifted in this fight and to let Gary bring the fight to him, then Manny can defeat Gary by a split decision, or maybe a, you know, unanimous, you know, decision. But it just wouldn't surprise me, because Gary Russell is a good ultimate fighter that knows how to adapt to anything. So I just think, like, what's going to happen is that Gary Russell, he's going to take his time. He's going to give, like, you know, he's going to give Manny like a round or two. And then by like the third round leading into 12, he's going to pressure him. He's going to give Manny those big shots, and then he's going to work downstairs, upstairs. And it's going to be a very, very difficult fight. I don't see how, you know, a guy like Gary Russell is going to let Manny get any, you know, breathing room. You know, he's obviously going to come to fight and give that, like, you know, give that guy some hands. And it's going to be very interesting to see where things go, because, you know, I don't see Gary Russell, you know, letting any fighter just, you know, take time to think in the ring, because every time when you see him, you know, break down his opponents, he like, you know, he always has like a jab ready to reset his opponent's, you know, decision making at a micro level. And then macro level, he, you know, he just knows how to, you know, evaporate all the decisions that a fighter tries to do to him before it's even made. So it's like Gary knows how to hard counter, you know, the pre-decision making of a fighter that he fights. And he doesn't really let you hit him as much as people say, oh, nah, he ain't got no defense, blah, blah, blah. Then how is Gary able to still outbox someone when he's in the pocket? Like, do you ever see a fighter do that, where he doesn't get banged up like that, but he's still hitting you while you're trying to hit him? Because that's what Shakur Stevenson does right now at, you know, at super featherweight. But when you look at Gary Antonio Russell, it's like he's like his brother in a way, but like a better version of him, because he's more crisp, he's way more athletic, and he has he has like a stronger frame to take shots that don't buzz him. And Gary knows how to break opponents down as he starts downstairs before he goes upstairs, because he doesn't look to headhunt. He looks to work your body a lot. And that's what I like out of Gary Russell, because, you know, Gary Antonio just knows where those big landings are. And I think he's more of a conventional boxer puncher. And Manny, he's more of like a brawler, but if you give that man the ability to have time to think when he boxes you, then Manny knows how to break people down and basically decipher them. And I mean, Manny, he has world championship experience, which I know that doesn't really mean anything, but it's more like he's been in there with so many good names that his level of opponents should be good enough to match with Gary Russell's level. Gary Russell's level of opponents, where, you know, it should be a equally matched fight, which I would slightly give the edge to Gary Antonio Russell, because, you know, just because I support Puerto Rican fighters does not mean that I still have to look the fight it still doesn't mean that I still have to look at the fight stylistically, and it'll always go down as it'll always be, you know, the old saying that styles make fights. And I just believe that when you compare the styles, Gary Antonio Russell's style is a lot better than, you know, Manny's style. Unless Manny, he comes in with a style that is more difficult to break down, and then it's going to be a very difficult chess match for Gary, for Gary Antonio to understand, and he's going to have to, work hard to try to get, some big shots out of Manny. But I don't know, like, honestly, if this is just going to be like a 3-fight card type of thing, I'm definitely favoring Gary Antonio Russell to, be like the bigger and stronger fighter out of this fight. He just seems to have like the better skill sets and the better drive mentally and physically to give, to give like a tougher fight. But then again, Manny, he's a dog. He doesn't let you hit him as much as people say he does. And I say that loss to Naoya, he didn't look like he was, physically prepared for that fight. And I guess that shot just got to him, and then he just broke down, which led him to get knocked out. So, I don't blame him for taking that loss, because, I kind of felt like that loss actually made him better. And when you look at the Raymar Caballo fight, he definitely proved why he is at the top level. And it's good that it's good that he got a opportunity with Gary Antonio Russell, because a win over him or a win over, Rodriguez or for Gary will definitely elevate their careers either way. But if either of them lose, it really doesn't set them back. It's just more like, this is like a legacy fight before they hit the world title level. Because I think Gary Antonio Russell is number one in the WBA, so he's on his way to getting a world title, very soon. But the issue is just like, who's gonna give him that opportunity? And I think the time is now, because it's like, he shouldn't have to be waiting up on these guys. He should be called up by the WBA, IBF, whoever. Give this man a shot. But my final prediction is that I would have Gary Russell stopping Manny Rodriguez, maybe in the late rounds. I give it round 10 or round 11. Or I have Manny by a split decision victory. But if I'm going to go one way, I'm definitely going to have Gary Antonio Russell by late stoppage in the 10th or 11th round. But I really don't know. Honestly, we're going to have to find out. August, 14th or some shit, right? Yeah, August 14th. It's going to be a very interesting fight. I can't wait. This is not going to be a easy fight for Manny, but I figured I cover this story so that you guys can determine how this fight is going to go down. So, yeah, man, it's going to, it's going to be some fireworks, for sure. So, yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Do you think Manny has a chance of defeating Mr. Gary Antonio Russell? And, yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys later. And long live Puerto Rico. And goodbye.